Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Friday Dose, the next episode, number 5. What? I'm glad to have you here. Steve Kenniston from IBM.
I'm glad to be here.
How was your flight, my friend?
Wow, long but uneventful, so that makes it was good.
How many hours?
6 from Boston to London, and then only 2.5 over here to Poland.
Wow. Steve Kenniston is working in IBM, but he's named himself a Storage Alchemist. Could you explain to our audience what the Storage Alchemist means for you?
So you know the study of alchemy? Turning metals, noble metals, into precious metals? Think about taking data and turning it into value. So I really like to think of the alchemy, the Storage Alchemist, as being able to take technology speak, like the bits and bytes, especially around storage, and how do I turn that into value? How do I turn that into business value for the customers? That's really how the Storage Alchemist all came about.
It's not about the experiments, etc. So so we have a data. How long are you doing this blog? Because you also, name yourself on Twitter.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think all the way back to the days of Avamar, when I was at Avamar, and then carried that through at EMC, and then to other companies. So I was at Storewise, then we sold it to IBM, and all through that whole time, we stayed at the Storage Alchemist.
Okay, so you said Avamar, the Storware. So you are really experienced in this field, yeah?
I've been around, let's say.
Been around.
I'm a little older than you are, so
I know.
You can tell by the gray in the hair. So.
The post-production, we'll do in a post-production. So, Steve, what's your role today in IBM?
So my title is Business Development Executive for Spectrum Storage Software. It's a big title, but it really means how do I help take the Spectrum Storage software family, and how do I add value to that such that we can bring that into the field and help turn that into value for the customers. And predominantly lately, I've really been focused on Spectrum Protect and Spectrum Protect Plus. So the business development side of that was, how do we complement Spectrum Protect with Spectrum Protect Plus, and what's that value bring both to the customers as well as to IBM for the Spectrum Storage data protection suite, so to speak.
What's driving today customers into the data protection?
I think today customers are. We've been talking about data protection has been evolving for many, many years. And I think now customers are evolving with the data protection solutions that are out there in the market. And we're seeing that with a lot of the newcomers into the space coming in and taking over some of the incumbents. And I think what's really driving them is, I think it's a younger generation. And I think they're trying that whole notion around, I got to be able to get more out of less. And they're really taking that to heart. So how can I take newer technologies and newer solutions that can offer me data protection, but also can offer me other things that enable the more data management in my area, right? Because data is growing unbelievably. I can't continue to just use one product to solve one solution in my environment. I got to have a product that can do multiple things, and I need to maximize the value out of that. And slowly we're seeing these small startup companies offering those sets of capabilities into these environments for customers. It's not only about backup, it's about archive, it's about data reuse, it's about data management, it's all of those things. And these products are starting to bring a lot of value to the clients.
Last time I've been on the VMworld in Barcelona, and lots of vendors were talking about the multi-cloud journey and how the modernized data protection is going to address these challenges. So let's see one of my interviews with Herzog. I know you know him well.
You know Eric.
So let's see this video and discuss this after that. Hello everybody, it's a Friday Dose. Today we have two special situations. The first one is the VMworld and the place, so the Barcelona. The second is our special guest, Eric Herzog from the IBM, CMO and the VP of the storage channel, IBM Storage Division. You said modern data protection. We know that we have a panel today and the discussion with the attendees. Could you tell a little bit more about what we understand as a modern data protection? So what are the key features, what are the key directions that the modern data protection should go?
Sure. Well, if you look at it in the old days, it was just backup. Let's back up the data. That was a great thing. It kept the data protected, and that was important. But in the modern data protection scheme, not only do you back up, but it's very easy to use. You may or may not need a backup administrator, the VMware administrator, or the application administrators may be able to seamlessly and easily and transparently back up all their data sets. Second thing you want to do is be able to use that backup data for more than just backup. What if I told you that with APIs, the DevOps guys could spin up an environment very easy and very quickly and run their development with actual real data sets that came off your backup copy? Now that's efficiency.
Did you like it?
Can Eric wears a Hawaiian shirt to Spain. He's amazing.
Yeah, just showing the mic and talking was brilliant. So gold, silver, etc. So could you add anything to this definition, Steve?
Yeah, certainly. I think Eric has a very good understanding and definition of what modern data protection is. But when I think of modern data protection, I think of 5 key elements, right? The first thing I think of, especially as we were just talking about around the how do we get more out of less, is cost. If you think about the number one thing that I think the incumbents are facing when it comes to their overall data protection solutions to their customers, it's cost. It's a costly base fee. I have costs for agents. I have costs for other things, and I have costs for my maintenance. And I think clients are they're kind of tired of that, right? A lot of the newer technologies really have lower cost, and when you lower the original cost, they also don't include things like, everything is agentless, right? So now I'm not adding on those particular costs. You lower that cost, you also lower your maintenance costs. So overall, in general, a lot of the newer technologies help. The modern solution can help you lower your overall costs. The second thing I think about is performance. And when I think performance around data protection, I don't necessarily think about getting data from point A to point B. I think about RPO and RTO, right? Because performance in data protection is really about meeting those objectives. And newer technologies offer things like storing data in native format, the ability, and by doing so, also with snapshot technology, snapshots are near instantaneous, and recoveries, because it's in a native format, are also near instantaneous. So now my RPO and RTOs are really, really fast.
And you said before about this younger generation and the new demands, new needs. So how you correlate these new demands with the RPOs and RTOs? You said about the snapshot technology, etc.
It's the iPhone world, right? It's instant. I want it now.
Yeah.
Right? So the third thing I think about is the management set of capabilities. And it's not just now management from what do I need as the IT administrator? It's what does the user need? So you think about taking things like self-service and API-driven capabilities in these newer technologies. Now you're handing the value of the people that need the data. You're giving them the ability to access it. And with a lot of these new interfaces built on design thinking, it's really simple for them to use and get to know, right? Again, back to the iPhone, it's not complicated, it's not complex. The next step I think about in a modern solution is the integration with the cloud. As we all know, everything's going cloud. Data protection is the #1 use case for cloud as far as filling capacity. And a lot of these newer technologies, they're built with cloud in mind. So it's not just, hey, I got to go to tape, or hey, I got to go to this disk repository for fast recall. I also need to have that long-term capability, right?
And I know that lately IBM did a huge effort to go into the multi-cloud journey. Yes?
Very
so
much
the
so.
integration with AWS, Azure from the ISP perspective.
And IBM's own cloud.
Yeah, of course, IBM
course.
cloud.
And then the one last thing that I think is really, really important, and it kind of hits on the modernization story and the data-driven story, is now I've got this repository of data. And if I'm doing a good job as an IT organization, I'm backing up 100% of my data. How do I get value out of that? So the data reuse component, or what people call business agility, but I really call it data reuse. How can I use that capacity for other things in the business to be able to make it prosper? And those are the 5 key things I think about when I think about a modern data protection solution.
Okay, let's a little bit dig into this reuse world.
Sure.
What does it also mean to you? Because for the years, and we'll talk about also the legacy backups, the backup was perceived as the cost. So many times comparing the backup with the insurance, so nobody would like to pay for it. But in case of any accident, everybody is happy that we have this insurance on board. So how this reuse changing the perception
in the modernized data protection world?
I think that's a great question. I also think it's the most important thing that's happened to the evolution of where data protection is going. I think your insurance analogy is great. I've been doing this for a while, and everybody talks about backup as an insurance. You don't wanna
Actually, the insurance agents. Yes.
Exactly. We are the agents, right? Nobody wants to pay for it, but they're really glad when they have it, right? But back to the beginning where we were talking about newer folks and a newer generation, they want to be able to get multiple things from one solution. Now I have the ability between self-service capabilities, options for clients if they want, and a full stack of all of my data to make that available to them at a moment's notice. So it's not just about self-service either. A lot of the newer technologies also have the ability not just to schedule backups, but schedule recoveries. So now you think about this. I can now take a database and I can make that available to a DBA who wants to do testing about and develop a new product, right? Or I can make it available to a DevOps team who wants to be able to understand that data, right?
But it's also the significant change. You said the user, and the young generation. So it's not that today the backup admin owns his own infrastructure and doing all of the jobs. So right now we would like to have an opportunity to give this access, this self-service to the specific DBA or the user base of the world.
And I think it's very important what you just said. It's give them the opportunity, because I talk to a lot of clients. 50% of the clients I talk to say, no way am I letting my users touch the data. And that's where the backup administrator probably works in a very large company. They probably have a lot of compliance issues that they have to deal with, and they just don't want anybody messing with their data. But the other 50% say, look, development is coming to me, sales operations is coming to me, marketing is coming to me, inventory is coming to me, depending on what market I'm in, saying, I need to have a copy of that data to run a report, to do some analytics, to do some test dev, to do some DR testing. The fact that you can actually, as an option, provide that to them is hugely immense, saves them tons of operational expense, and really takes the burden off of IT so that they can now go and focus on the things that are important to the business to help make it more competitive.
So could we again remember these 5 things in modern data protection? So just for the reminder.
Yeah, so we have cost, performance, RPO and RTO. We have, we call it SLA management, but more design thinking, think of ease of OpEx, right? Easier to manage. Simplicity. You think cloud integration, and you think business agility. Those are the 5 key things.
Okay, Steve, but you need to give me an elix how the IBM is planning to dive into this market. Go on.
I think you started to see a little bit of this as of November of last year. So if you think about, we've been talking a lot about incumbents versus kind of newcomers. And I think over the course of the last year, since November of last year, about a year ago, we released Spectrum Protect Plus. And I think Spectrum Protect Plus was our big footprint, poof, right into the middle of that modern strategy. So if you think about it, it's much lower cost. It has better performance because it does snapshotting and stores data in native format. It's built around design thinking. It has the opportunity for API integration and self-service. It's built with the cloud in mind for longer term retention, so be able to offload data to the cloud. And it also enables the ability to recover data both through the APIs or to be scheduled to recover data, and to be able to take virtual machines or snapshots of applications and make them available to the users that need it to be able to do the types of either analytics or DevOps things that they need. So is it perfect? It's probably not the perfect, first instantiation of the product that came out in November. We've had a release that came after that earlier this year, I think in April or May. We had a second release here in August, and we've got another fantastic one coming up here in February. And the February one really does a lot of nice things, especially around cloud integration and that sort of thing to enable data offload. So that's IBM's first step into that business. And I think what you're going to see over time, and I think this will be true of a lot of the incumbents, right, if you want to stay relevant in this space or relevant in this business, you got to kind of get that in that incumbent product, right? So you're going to see the merger of a lot of those capabilities come into a lot of those products.
Okay. I think I have a few more questions, but let's keep it for the next part.
Let's do it.
About the legacy, the ISP, how to compare it. But I think it's the right time to finish the part one. Steve, thank you. It was a pleasure to hosting you here.
Thanks for having me.
That was a Friday Dose, the Backupmonster show, with my friend Steve Kenniston, Storage Alchemist.
I think you've done a good job on the modern. I do.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Finito!
Big comment.
Did he say you look like a Muppet?
No, I need to be more like a Muppet, so I have more energy.
Beautiful nation.